Welcome back to another episode of Temporally Scripted. I'm Jack Austin, and today we're going to take you through the world's news stories, which of course is mostly still about Epstein, Prince Andrew, Mandelson, and all of these other untrustworthy individuals that we trust our government to. But we are going to dig into some other more important things, such as maybe dogs fly tipping and potentially some other cool stories about AI along the way. You're not really here for the news. You could go to a more credible source like The Guardian or something for your news. But you're here to see me and my very good friend, my partner in crime, the man from the other side of the city, the magician, Adam Garcia. Welcome. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. And like you were saying, people could go to a credible source for news, but instead they're coming here for an incredible source of news.
Oh, I love that. That needs to be on the t-shirt. Is it incredible?
Or maybe
incredible?
Or uncredible. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's right. It's something like that. But at least, you know, we're the least scripted podcast with the word scripted in our title. So that's good.
That is always a bonus. And I think our 39 subscribers are seeing that.
Yeah, and I mean, we've almost doubled those subscribers in the last few weeks. So if you are watching up to this point, which is usually the point people tune out, don't forget, like, subscribe, tell your friends, your grandma, listen to us while you're walking your dog. I don't like dogs, but never mind. It's not a reason to stop listening to us.
Just lost 5 subscribers right there. What, you don't like dogs? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. I also don't like horses, which brings us to the latest Prince Andrew story. So since his arrest, he's not allowed to ride horses. I have to say, I didn't see those documents in the files of Andrew riding horses. I may or may not have been on websites that have that kind of material in the past, just out of curiosity. But yeah, no horses for Andrew. I mean, sad times.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was half a point of being a royal, being able to ride around on horses, looking down at the peasants. And that was your daily life. I don't know.
Yeah, sad times.
Yeah. How do you think this is affecting him? Do you think it's going to affect his mental health in any way?
Yeah, no, I think he's got much bigger problems right now. He's probably trying to figure out what's going to come out next and how he can escape the country, grow a big beard and go and live in Israel.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has done that. But
not saying that that's been done by anybody else. Could not confirm or deny the rumors at all that are out there. Obviously, I've never been, so I don't know.
Yeah, and there's no weird photographs or coincidences that could lead anyone to think that anyone could have grown a beard and moved to that particular country and not in fact be undead. But anyway, yeah, maybe he does have some bigger fish to fry. And the funny thing with this article as well, it's like, it's weird how it's reported. So Andrew banned from horses, and people like, what's he been doing now? But the thing is, it's like, it's literally just like a PR stunt, basically, to make him look better in the media. So according to, I think it's his aides and his PR people, it's like, it's a bad look if he's in all this trouble, riding around on a horse, having a nice time. So they've just told him, don't ride horses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I forgive him. All is forgiven. The fact that he's decided not to ride horses based on the advice of his aides is, I mean, could he show repentance in any better way than that for giving away the country's secrets to people for financial gain? I mean, allegedly, of course. I'm not saying he did do that.
I mean, there was that thing a while ago where some people would say was showing repentance or showing that he wasn't guilty by paying that girl £12 million, because nothing says I'm innocent like giving someone £12 million for no reason.
Yeah, I wish he would have given me £12 million for no reason. But then again, I probably wouldn't want to, render the services required to get the payment. I mean, Then again,
12 million pounds is 12 million pounds.
it's a lot of money, you know. It is a lot of money. It's definitely enough to kind of keep me busy for a little bit of time. I could probably buy a horse and not ride it as well for that amount of money.
Yeah. I mean, this is maybe one of his, maybe it's like a punishment to him in a way. He's got these horses and he just can't ride them.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the other story that I saw come out this week from the whole Epstein thing, before we move on, obviously, this is what's going on in the world right now, really. So we're going to talk about it to death because we want clicks, views, and the algorithms to send people here so that they can maybe get through more than 5 minutes of us deranged ramblings that we do. But yeah, so apparently Charles was blamed for this as well. So King Charles was blamed by Epstein when the trade envoy was lost by Andrew. And it was seen in one of the emails of like, oh, I assume he knows Charles is behind this. You can just imagine, right? I bet Charles wanted to have him executed quite a long time ago, but people were like, you can't send Tower of London anymore.
Chill out.
You know, heads on pikes is just not done anymore. You know, it's a shame, really. It would be good if they still put people's heads on pikes for doing stuff.
People would watch it. You'd have a lot of people tuning in.
Yeah, I think secretly that's what everybody wants out of this, you know?
Maybe, well, it almost seems that way, doesn't it? Because it's kind of an odd way that people and the media seem to react. Because, I mean, there's so many different areas and things that are attached to this case and these files and everything else. But with everyone involved, it's like this instant, right, they've done this, burn them. And it's like with some people, they've just been named in there. And it's like, I don't know, so people come up in conversation all the time. And so there might be a reference to that person in an email, as we've said before, but it seems like there's almost this thing of like people baying for blood. And I think at the same time, people love to see the downfall of others.
Particularly successful people. Yeah, I think that is the case. And I mean, these people are kind of success bestowed upon them because of Jack's Dictionary, ladies and gentlemen. There's a link in the comments. Because they're kind of gifted or through birth, you know, they've won the sperm lottery, as Tony Robbins would call it. Like, he doesn't work with billionaires or rich people that won the sperm lottery. He only works with billionaires that are like self-made, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, some of it is really funny. I don't know if you saw Elon Musk the other day. He was being interviewed about some of the cuts that were being made to like child services or child charity or something like that in the US. And this woman's interviewing and saying, oh, do you agree with Bill Gates and his thoughts on this and how much it's going to impact children and families and all of this stuff? And he's like, no, I'd ask Bill Gates to give me any evidence that he's got that this is going to have any impact at all, because I believe that it doesn't. And also, who's trusting Bill Gates when it comes to things about children? I wouldn't let him babysit my kids, that's for sure.
Jesus Christ. I mean, interestingly, I saw something in the news, I think it was this morning, about Bill Gates now admitting that he had an affair with 2 different women and things like that. And sort of like, is he just sort of hoping that he says that and people go, shocking, and then stop looking at anything else? Because I don't know. I think there's some kind of PR handling or hoping for the best and hoping people stop digging. But obviously, like I said before, he could have done absolutely nothing wrong in the whole of his life. But he might.
But if he'd like us, if he'd like us to stop dropping his name here on the Temporally Scripted podcast, our sort code and account number are in the comments. Donations to our podcast may or may not affect what we do and do not say. The thing that's freaked me out the most about some of this is I went down a rabbit hole the other day, and this is, by the way, like tinfoil hats on, ladies and gentlemen. But there's a lot of discussion in the files about jerky. Have you seen any of this stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Like pounds and pounds of jerky being in the freezer, and like, I'm going to go back to eating normal food instead of jerky for a little while. And it kind of reminds me, did you ever watch The League of Gentlemen?
I did, yeah. Was it with
So
like Hillary Briss or something like that? Got any man
yeah,
sausages, Hillary?
yeah. So for those of you that don't know, The League of Gentlemen is like a British dark comedy set in like a countryside village where loads of weird stuff goes on, and it's like strange and freaky. I remember sometimes the kid, it used to freak me out. And in that particular sitcom, there's like a butcher who's got the special stuff. And the special stuff is like this meat that everyone's sort of eating secretly, and then they all start gradually getting like these horrible nosebleeds where they bleed to death. And it turns out that the special stuff is like human meat, right? And then there's this whole rabbit hole now about jerky and stuff, and some of that is wild. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of like the percentages of the number of children that go missing in the USA every year is like crazy. And then the number I'm just trying to find it. Then the number that get found, it's something like 10% of them never get found. So say it's like 375,000 to 460,000 children are reported missing annually, and 80 to 90% get found. So that's like 37,000 to 45,000 kids or 46,000 kids that never get found. Like that's a fuckload of stuff, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you think about the size of the population in America as well, to have that amount just going missing, that's really high.
Yeah. So what is this jerky they talk about? Like it's horrendous to even think about, but to just see how weirdly mentioned it is all of the time, like what is going on there? I think this thing goes much deeper and much darker than any of us can ever really put our fingers on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and there's a few things. I mean, we do seem to have those really bizarre code words like jerky or pizza or grape soda and things like that. And the way that they're mentioned in these emails, it's just like no one would talk about food in that way. It just seems so strange. And then, like we were saying before, these are the files that we have access to. This is what we know. There's another 3 million files that haven't been released. And it seems like everything that we have is kind of redacted or shown in a way that it can't actually like nail anyone for it and say, right, that's really incriminating. It's all really loose. And I don't know how much of it is. It's some kind of like distraction from other things in the world, or they're trying to distract from something else by releasing these files. But the whole weird release of them as well, because before the election, it was like, oh, we've got thousands of files, we're going to release them all. Then after the election, we're like, yeah, we looked into it. There's nothing there. We're not going to release anything, And then a few months later, it turns out, oh, right, here's this data dump of loads of stuff, but only some of it. And,
yeah.
And at the same time, I think whatever it is, it goes way deeper and way darker than we think. And to think that like this one character was the only person like this at the head of this kind of network or this intermediary between so many different powerful people, I think that's a bit short-sighted as well, because, or even if it's like, if he's gone, who then replaces him? Or if not, then not like is there not a handful of these people around the world that do very similar things?
Yeah, it's madness. And again, going back to the layers of the story that we're hearing about, there's like stuff now where you see, oh, like Trump's going to release all the information that the USA has on aliens suddenly or whatever. It's like,
yeah, what? Look up that.
What's this? Hey, do you want to know about aliens? Let's release all of this stuff, right? And yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the other thing that keeps coming back into my mind, and again, this is totally speculation or just it's weird, is if you ever watch the Jimmy Savile documentary, like Prince Charles at the time was often asking Jimmy Savile for like advice on situations, things that were going on, the way the world was going, which again is like, is weird.
That's
Like,
I mean, that's as weird as some of the Epstein stuff, isn't it? It's like someone paying him, I think it was like $100 million for tax advice. And it's like, you can get the very best in the world at doing tax advice for like a fraction of that cost. Why did he need to give him 100 million? That seems like, if you're giving him that, how much tax were you going to save? None of it makes any sense. And the same as like asking Jim will fix it for advice on what you're going to do. I don't think that would be a go-to guy either. But
yeah.
it seems funny.
Yeah, like, so apparently even when Jimmy Savile was like in St. James's Palace, one of the royal aides said that he would like greet female visitors by rubbing his lips on their arms, like some kind of deranged cat. So I don't know. And then it makes you think, well, is it just because they didn't have email in the 80s and the 90s that there's no trail on some of this stuff? Could Jimmy Savile be like the British equivalent of this? Because every high-powered person basically at the time was like involved with this dude in some way. And I get that the world was different. It's like, oh, he's a bit weird, but whatever. But like this guy, the fact that none of this stuff came out until after he died is also really weird. So I don't know, man. I think there's going to be stuff in there as well, but we just don't know because it's in written documents and files that can never be leaked, and there's no real benefit to it to someone now. They're like, there must have been a benefit to all of this stuff to someone, and that's why it's coming out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that would make sense in many ways, that someone had something to gain by it coming out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a very different world, and whereas today, if you do something, you say something in an email, on social media, via WhatsApp, text message, whatever else, that can all be tracked years and years later. Whereas in the old days, you might be lucky if you have evidence like a letter. But again, a letter is just one thing. It's kind of perishable. Most people would throw them out. Other than that, it's just face-to-face meetings or phone calls, which weren't recorded. And so there'd be no evidence of huge amounts of things that would have happened in the past. And I think that's why as well, politicians, various people, they could get away with a lot more in the past than they can now. Because you hear of things all the time where, I don't know, some UK ministers' WhatsApp or something's been hacked and it's revealed this, and this, or they accidentally sent an email to the wrong address and this information. There's all this stuff that comes out, but yeah, in the past, we wouldn't have known about.
It also makes me laugh because we're like, oh, the Metropolitan Police in the UK, oh, we can't release this stuff because there's an ongoing investigation. Oh, by the way, we accidentally told everybody that it was the Speaker of the House that said Mandelson should be arrested. Oops. Sorry.
Oh,
whoopsie. We didn't realize that we'd let that slip. It's kind of crazy,
Oh yeah, was it that or something to do with him being a flight risk or something as well? I can't remember, but yeah, it's like
crazy. Yeah, so obviously he's been arrested now and he's been bailed, which is a different thing to just being under investigation. So his route to Israel has been blocked. And Prince Andrews is still very much open, but he can't ride there by horse. And I've been severely put off beef jerky, so I'm a big loser in this one as well, right?
No, there's no winners in this game, is there really? Will there be some payouts to someone eventually? Maybe, who knows?
Probably at some point. But yeah, moving on. Before we move on, so a slightly lighter story this week, which I'm just dropping in at random, because I like to do that to you sometimes. Did you see the story this week of the BAFTA Awards in the UK?
No, I didn't. Was it something to do with Tourette?
Yes.
I saw a headline about it, but I don't know what actually happened.
Yeah, so the BBC are in trouble this week because they invited this guy who's like a big advocate for awareness of Tourette's. It is a really serious disease, but it is also hilarious. Like, to be fair, sorry for anyone watching that might be distressed by that. The unsubscribe button's at the bottom. And I know that's my emails. Anyway, so there was two African British guys on stage presenting an award, and the guy in the crowd with Tourette's shouted out something highly offensive a couple of times, which was so much so they didn't know what was going on, so they kind of stopped and then started again. And the BBC published it on iPlayer and didn't take it down for 12 hours without removing the slur.
Oh, right. So it's, I guess, BBC are really popular now.
Yeah. BBC is really popular because of this. But it just tickled me again about like information and the things that go on and what comes out. It's like the BBC can't even remember to edit out something that was said. And it's so interesting because of this world we live in, right? Where you have to be so careful about what you say. It's like this really interesting balance between, oh, you shouldn't say these things, but also we don't want to put any pressure on the guy who's got Tourette's because that we should accept this and it's like a normal part of society. But he also said, drop the M-bomb like on live TV. And there was like a bit of an apologizing for putting the members in that position while still trying not to say, oh man, we shouldn't have invited this guy with Tourette's, because they can't say that, because if they do, you could just imagine the PR disaster. Like they all come into the BBC and have this meeting site. What are we going to do? Because if we say about the Tourette's guy, then everyone's going to hammer us for that and say that we're, anti-disability. But if we don't say anything about the N-bomb that he dropped, everyone's going to say that we're racist. You can just imagine
playing this game of like discrimination Jenga.
It's like, so who, so what, so how, well, maybe what, so if we publish, are we censoring Tourette's?
And then you know at some point during that conversation it's come up like, well, which is it better to offend, which groups matter? Not all that will have been said around a boardroom somewhere.
Well, let's get the viewing ratings up. Okay, we definitely have more African English people watching than we do Tourette's people. So that's 1 point in this box. And you can just, it's brilliant.
Yeah. But then how will people react if they know that we're kind of anti the Tourette's fit? Oh, no.
And if people ban it, then it's going to make people want to find it more. And I wonder if they were like, well, let's just let it slip for 12 hours. People can get their fill if they really want to see it. And then we'll say it was a mistake and pull it back down. So it's kind of out there, but not out there.
Yeah.
Oops.
And I mean, the BBC is another mainstream media thing that's just like gradually disappearing. So at least it gets the brand out there and in the public eye again, just so people don't forget about it.
It's mental, isn't it?
I don't know about you, but I mean, occasionally we'll use like a BBC article for the podcast to talk about it. But I can't imagine living in the UK and actually watching TV, especially not the BBC. The last time I watched it was like a few years ago, and it was like terrible. All the good stuff that it used to have just isn't there anymore. And then almost like the same kind of thing with this cover up of like the offensive language by the Tourette's guy and things. It's got that kind of PC kind of don't offend anybody kind of thing, and then the news isn't really proper journalism anymore. And I don't know, it's sad that institution that used to be really amazing is just going so quickly.
The world's gone fucking mad, dude, with this stuff. It's crazy. So like, I'll tell you a story. The other day, one of my good friends here in Da Nang, and we get on, we have opposing views on certain things, and that's fine, because guess what? That's what a normal human relationship should be like, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to agree with everybody somebody says to be their friend, their associate, or whatever else, right? You're allowed to have differing opinions. In fact, I would say it's a preferable way to live, right? You're going to learn more. You're not in an echo chamber. Anyway, he invited me for lunch, and I said, oh yeah, you choose somewhere, man. Like, I know certain things you eat, certain things you don't eat. So he invited me to a vegan restaurant and a coffee place.
Oh, nice. Were you excited?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going on Friday, and genuinely, right? I was like, this will be cool. So then I open up the Google Map link to find out where it is, and everything's like at least half an hour from me, so that's fine. And I scroll down, and it's got a little purple heart on it on the Google Map thing, and it says identifies as woman owned.
Okay.
What the deuce? Okay, cool, good to know. And then it says LGBTQ plus friendly. I'm like, where the fuck isn't?
Or where's going to be like anti
Is that a thing?
Would
Because
you
I
have,
didn't know that was a thing.
Does that mean you can have the other thing? Could you have like LGBTQ plus?
Not welcome.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Hostile.
Like, everywhere is LGBTQ plus welcome, and so it should be, right? So it should be, right?
Like, the thing is, it's like generally every business just wants people's money. There's not many businesses that really care about people's orientation in one way or another, or like their gender or race or whatever. Most businesses really don't care. They want you to come to them, give them some money, and go home. And it, but it's like a PR exercise just to say, oh well, we're friendly. I don't know. It's just so bizarre.
It blows my mind. It's like one of these things where, yeah, I get it. Like, I know it's difficult for people that come from different like backgrounds, different sexual orientations, like all of this stuff. Of course, I'm not saying it's easy. Like, I'm not going to do the classic, I've got loads of gay friends, because I have, but I'm, the classic, well, I just did, I guess. But like, it's not acceptable in society now to discriminate against people. Like, it's not, if you go to anywhere that's got reasonable people in it and somebody tries to be discriminatory towards somebody for being a woman or for being of a different sexual orientation, people are going to call it out. They're not just going to sit there unless you're like in some weird like backcountry place that doesn't represent the vast population of the urban world. Someone's going to say something about it. You're probably going to get smacked in the mouth for it by somebody. I would say people are that like on it. So then this just blew my mind, right? Google Maps, here's a business, it's a vegan coffee shop. Oh, we identify as being woman owned. Like, what the actual? Why? Why do you identify as being woman owned? What?
There must be a reason for it. And it must have an effect on some people, there must be someone that's on there and it's like, okay, menu looks good. Oh, and it's women down. Right. That sold me. I'm there.
It's a safer place. Not going to be any predators. I mean, to be fair, if I was that way inclined and I see woman owned, I'm like, excellent. It's going to be full of women. It's not advice, not romantic advice, ladies and gentlemen. It's not romantic advice. But yeah, it just tickled me, so I thought I would bring it up.
No, it is really strange that somewhere would do that, because I don't know, I can't imagine many places in this city people have had bad experiences with discrimination for various reasons or whatever, so much so that some place has to go, look, we're not like that. We're not like some 1970s working men's club. you can be who you want here. Some guy smoking a cigarette, go, huh, one of those are, yeah. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anything, it's when I go and I try to use chopsticks after being here for 10 years and they're looking at me like, look at this chopstick speaking to me in his terrible pidgin Vietnamese. Like, yeah, maybe I get it. I get discrimination somewhere.
Maybe there needs to be a place that says, a badge that says
bad Vietnamese and poor chopstick skills welcome. Underneath, I get it if it was a vegan place and it said animal friendly. I mean, makes sense, right?
Because it kind of is in a way.
Like, that's, yeah.
Well, sort of. I mean, because vegan isn't. People think it's animal friendly, but it kind of isn't in a way, because you kind of have to grow a lot more vegetables, which means clearing a lot more natural habitat, which means killing a lot more smaller animals, so that bigger farm animals don't get killed for food. Which is so it's like how many mice make up a cow, I guess, or well, I don't know what the balancing act is, or all kinds of things, right? But it's basically that.
Well, then there's the soy industry, which involves like growing the same plant for hectare after hectare after hectare after hectare and stripping it of any natural way of growing or any bacteria or anything that's in the soil. All of that stuff just gets stripped away so you can grow fields and fields and fields and fields of this shit. And then when they're finished, they turn it into things that are pretending to be burgers. Like, so there's like a, there's an irony to that. Personally, I would just have much less people and more cows if I had the choice. That would be my My move.
So what? It would make your life easier because like places are less crowded, and there's more cows, so steak would be cheaper. Life's a lot better.
This is one of the reasons I'm sad that we seem to have stalled with like virtual reality. You know, like I saw a couple of episodes of Black Mirror that were just really like making me think that would be wonderful if 80% of the world just lived in their virtual reality bots and Matrix style, and I could be left to roam. Just think of how much better the traffic would be.
Yeah, exactly. Less road rage, less queuing, less all kinds of things, really.
And everyone be happier because the ones that choose the virtual reality world, they'll be happy in there. Then we're not going to force anyone in. It's a choice, right? You can go in and test it a bit. It'll be kind of like what they do with smartphones. You know, you start off watching the odd short, and then before you know it, you're there 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day. It's the same thing. You open up these free virtual reality centers where people can go and plug in and live whatever virtual reality life they want. And they can use it for half an hour if they want. They can use it for 12 hours they want. If they like, they can plug a pipe up their ass and just stay in there all day.
And that probably will be the future. Maybe not exactly like that, but something similar.
We've taken a turn here on the Temporally Scripted podcast, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, don't forget, give us a like, subscribe, leave us a comment. But we are going to bring it back to the news a little bit now, because that's what we promised, right? We promised the audience that we were going to talk a little bit about the news today. We've given them a little bit of Andrew. We've gone in with lots of things that will probably get us cancelled. And now...
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the RoboCop story is an interesting one because, as I mentioned last week with AI, obviously there was a company I mentioned that had been basing all of their sales data and information and dashboards on what AI was telling it to do. And essentially the AI was just telling them what they wanted to hear. So hallucinating things and just like giving them, information with 2 + 2 = 7.5. But now the UK police are using AI tools to process their huge volumes of digital evidence, which is pretty scary, right? Like,
it could
pretty
be
scary stuff. Because, I mean, is the AI just going to make stuff up? Like, if you feed... So the story says that they fed it 1.4 terabytes of smartphone data, which is 100,000 messages. And then they use this tool to analyze the material faster than the manual work could do.
Yeah, which it's by it's by Palantir, isn't it?
Right.
Which I don't know. I remember hearing about them a little bit a while ago, and people have conflicting views on them. But yeah, people are worried about kind of like a surveillance state, but on steroids kind of thing, because with the kind of Palantir software and AI, it could be plugged into everything and analyze, excuse me, kind of everything that people are doing. And
right.
Because it's been used with like the CIA and the army and various things. I don't know. Is it great to have the UK police using this? For one, I'm not too sure. Although I guess Nectar is just what they're using. That's kind of a program that was developed by them.
Yeah, I wonder if they're owned by Serco.
I'm not sure. I'm sure Peter Thiel had something to do with it.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, so AI is pretty good at this kind of stuff. I know because I've done projects where we've done reports for companies like, organizations like the World Wildlife Federation. Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon. No, it's the Wrestling Wildlife Show. Have you never seen it?
So people wrestling squirrels and pandas and things.
Yeah, and you do like the Royal
Beating
Rumble.
them over the head with a metal chair.
Yeah, like, get them like rabiesed up and then send them in to fight each other. Two rabid bear. That sounds like good TV, actually. Anyway, so it can, like, this project we were analyzing like lots of qualitative data, lots of quantitative data, and it did a very, very good job. And this was a while back as well, so I'm sure the technology has come on quite a bit since then. So it is pretty good at that stuff. However, when it comes to things related to the law and crime and stuff, it feels like there's an ethical problem there potentially, and also a bias issue of like, what kind of things are you asking it to look for versus asking it to ignore. I think,
Yeah.
I think obviously now with agentic AI as well, these things become easier and safer to run as time moves forward. But yeah, it's an interesting one. The other thing is, sorry to keep rambling, and I will stop, but I remember when I worked at Boots and we had this loss prevention team, which is basically stopping people stealing stuff from stores. And even like 12, 13 years ago, the systems were smart enough that you could type in guy in a red shirt and it would like show you all the guys that came in the store that day wearing a red shirt.
Oh, cool.
For example. And this is like 12 years ago. So like the security quality has been there for a long time. And they were even starting to use it for like, which shelves did this person look at? And where did they pick products up from? And then like relating that back to what they actually bought, so they could analyze the floor plan and the layout. So these things have been around for quite a long time. So I would imagine the stuff that companies like Palantir are using in conjunction with the government are like way beyond any of the stuff we're seeing with, ChatGPT telling me that doing star jumps in the sunshine is a great way to improve my productivity and sunlight intake,
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens and what the police force use it for. Because, like last year, it was 12,000 people arrested in the UK for social media posts. Are they going to use it for that? Is it? Because as far as I know, most people that I speak to in the UK, if a crime happens, it becomes really difficult for them. Generally, the crime never gets solved, and the police never seem to be doing anything to tackle like violent crime or robberies or anything else that's going on. Maybe this new technology can help. I hope so, but maybe it won't, and they'll just go after the petty things or things that they can fine people for to boost the budget. I don't know. Time will tell.
I mean, I think it's because we're totally overwhelmed as a nation, and most of Western Europe is the same. I think it's like the rust belt of the planet. But if you look at it, we were underfunded as a nation a decade ago before I left. We were underfunded. Like the NHS was struggling. It was really hard to get a dentist. There wasn't enough police. There wasn't enough training. The education system was struggling. And when I left, the population of the UK was like 58 million.
Yeah, what's it at now?
70 million. So that's an increase of 12 million people that we know about in 10 years. And that's mental. Like, so that, and obviously we've also been through a period of austerity where we're cutting back public spending and funding and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's no wonder that the country is in a position that it can't cope, because there's simply too many people for the services that are available. And that's the people that we know are even that are there, that are registered. Obviously, we have like nearly 1 million people a year. Or maybe I'm misquoting that, but we have hundreds of thousands of people a year coming across and on rubber dinghies from France.
Yeah. Which I don't know. And then I don't know what they're exactly doing now, but I remember in the past looking at some of these reports and things, and it's like, okay, so you get on a boat, you throw away all your documentation, you land in the UK, then you can claim you're from anywhere or you're anyone. Then you go through this huge process while you're claiming that you're seeking asylum in this country or refugee status. And during that time, they put you in a hotel, they give you money, they give you a phone, they give you everything else. And you just can't do that for so many thousands and thousands of people every single year. And it's just like an extra drain on the system, for a system that's kind of broke anyway. It's like, I can't remember the debt to GDP ratio, but I think it's pretty much even at the moment, which is like, that's not good. At the same time, I can't remember, it was during the Gordon Brown government, he sold, I think it was around 60% of the UK's gold reserves.
To Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, allegedly. But it was at like rock bottom prices as well, when gold was at like a real low. So we don't have like that sort of physical material wealth there either. And and this is the thing I think we'll find with any government that comes into power next. There's nothing they can do to fix it, because I think it's past the point of being able to be repaired, because that national debt is just going to carry on growing and growing until it's way beyond GDP, and we can't afford to service the debt. And we're always going to need to be spending more on public services and everything else. And even if we just stopped having an extra million people coming in every year, and not having to spend that money, I think it's not enough.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's already a massively populated country. It's not the biggest place, and I can't even imagine the difference that makes overall in the country, right? Because it's a lot of that population's got to be urban, and yeah, just how does it? What are they all going to do? Work for Deliveroo? Like, then who's going to order things?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's mad. And again, it's not that I'm anti-immigration in any way, shape, or form. I believe that the reason the UK is as great a country as it is the most multicultural country on the planet, and it has always been good at that, because we had such a vast empire, and then the Commonwealth, and a lot of the things that we have are a result of that, like chicken tikka masala being the best dish, most favorite dish in the country. It comes from the UK, from British Indian people. Like, we have dub music, which led to drum and bass, which led to dubstep, and all of this, like, reggae, ska, you name it, right? It all came from Windrush generation coming into Bristol and mixing with British people, and it becoming like a part of our culture and what we do, right? So we are a nation of people coming, assimilating, and creating like a better culture as a result, a richer culture. But that's not what's happening now.
No. Well, I think where you said it, people coming in, assimilating, coming in because they want to be part of the country, and they want to be British, or they want to be English, and they want to be part of that. Now what you're seeing is huge groups of people that are forming communities in different areas where they aren't integrating in any kind of way. They never will. They really don't want to, and they want to keep everything that's them there, but being in England. And I think that's the difference. You're not mixing cultures. You're having like two very different, well, more than two, but you're having different groups of very, very different cultures in the same city or the same place. And I think that's where it doesn't work, because they have no desire to be British. They want to be their nationality, but with the benefits of living in England. And I think that's where the problems start.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do in Vietnam. I have my St. George's Cross and my British flag hanging high outside of my villa, and then every morning I start with like the and then I play like the national anthem full blast, and then I obviously complain.
Go and salute the flag in the garden.
yeah, and then I complain to the police if people sing karaoke too loud or they put their own flags up, and I go and say, they're making me feel excluded. by having their own culture. And then, you know, as a great nation that Vietnam is, the police will tell me to fuck off, which is
Yeah.
great.
I
I love
mean,
it.
that's the funny thing. Have you ever tried
Story
to...
for illustration purposes, ladies and gentlemen. Story for illustration purposes. Carry on. Sorry.
Have you ever tried to explain to a Vietnamese person that if you're in the UK and you put like the St. George cross or something like that on your house, that's considered racist? Have you ever tried to explain that to a Vietnamese person?
Yeah, they don't understand. They don't understand
Yeah,
it.
like, well, what do you mean? Yeah, but it's your flag. It's like...
They sort of don't believe it. Yeah, and I mean, as someone who, I mean, there's one of the stories we won't have time to fully go into, but it's apparently for dual nationality British now, it's like £589 for a passport. I've got a son and a daughter that are half Vietnamese and half UK. And when I wanted to get my daughter a passport, I haven't even bothered going through it for my son yet, frankly, and he's 2.5. But when I got my daughter a passport, I had to do like DNA tests, like they DNA tested my wife, charging us like 500 quid to do it, and eventually they agreed to let us have a passport for my half British daughter after interviewing me and all kinds of stuff. Now I get it, system's been abused, it makes sense, right? But they don't need to test my wife because there's nothing to do with her whether or not my daughter gets a passport, for a start. And two, like, whenever we now go there, if I wanted to live back in the UK, which, by the way, I absolutely do fucking not want to. Thank you very much. Like, you can take the passport back and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. As much as I am a patriot as well, proud of my country, or I was, I can't even live there with my wife and my family that I've been married to for 10 years, and I have 2 half British children, without going through crazy hoops for immigration and having like stupid amounts of money saved in the bank account, or giving up my whole business and getting a job in the UK, and then they would consider it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah, I mean, that story that we won't get onto today, it's now for any like dual citizen. If you're going back to the UK, you either need to have your UK passport and be traveling on that, or you can get this certificate. But the certificate, that's for £589 thing, which is, it's just mental. And so it's like, you can't say you've got 2 passports. If I go back to the UK, but my ticket that I buy for the plane and I travel on like a Spanish passport, I get to the UK and I'm in trouble, even if I'm holding my UK passport in the other hand, because they go, oh no, you didn't travel on your UK passport. And then it'll either be you can't come in, or you'll have to pay a fine or whatever else. So you either have to travel on your official UK passport or apply for one of these certificates, which is £589, and I don't know how many years it lasts. But again, it's like that 500 quid is nothing to someone who's on a really high wage or something. To a lot of people, that's a lot of money. Just to go and visit some family or something because you don't live there anymore, or you just want to travel back because it's your home country.
It's certainly made me to the stage where I won't bother, unless the rule is that you can have your British passport and your Vietnamese passport, because the only way we can physically leave here is my kid has to leave on their Vietnamese passport because they're Vietnamese. If they try and leave on their British one, it's like, oh, where's your visa? So you take both into account, right? So you don't, and then to enter the UK, it's like, here's the UK passport, because you can't enter on a Vietnamese passport without a visa. So it's like they kind of, the documents are essential together, you know, and there's no way of just traveling otherwise. So anyway, let's move on.
I was just going to say as well, though, it's like with all the technology that we have now, I don't understand why everything isn't just linked. All right, maybe that could be like a new world order, one world government kind of thing. But like the thing is, it's like we have DNA, we have various digital fingerprints, we have various ways of proving that a person is a person. Why do we even need all these separate documents? Because surely we can just sort of go, okay, well, yeah, we know it's you, whether whether we're looking at your Spanish passport or your English passport or this certificate, we know that it's you. It all basically means the same thing. You had to go through the same security tests to get all of these different documents. I don't see why it matters unless the government in the UK has just decided to be difficult for no reason or to raise some extra capital because we know there's a million dual nationals, and so we think, oh, well, maybe we'll flog a few of these certificates for 500 quid each and that'll pay for a doctor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish I could just make up a certificate and charge £589 for it. I mean, to be fair, people in marketing probably do. So let's lighten the mood before we go into our top fives. I think we got two really funny stories to go with, but I think the one that edges it is the Thai police story. I don't know. What do you think?
I think, yeah, well, let's have a look at that one first, I guess, just because it's because we've been talking about police and Palantir and things like that, which is an incredibly high-tech way to catch some criminals. What clever methods have they been using in Thailand?
So you're going to like this, right? There was this burglar at large that had got away with multiple attempts of arrest. He was like some kind of James Bond of burglary. And the Thai police were like, we can't be having this, lads. Let's go undercover. So they went undercover as a lion dance crew. And they caught him, basically. So, yeah.
I wonder if they had like the drums. Yeah, they would have had like the drums and the all that going off.
Yeah, see, I always thought it was a dragon, but there we go. Maybe it's a lion, or maybe that's just someone getting it wrong. I don't know.
No, yeah, but I know what you mean. I always thought it was a dragon as well, but actually isn't.
Interesting.
But yeah, just an interesting way to catch a thief, I guess. Maybe that's what we should do in the UK. Maybe instead of spending all this money on the AI tools, just get a couple of dragon suits and some musical instruments.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kind of an animal story, but it's not good enough as an animal story for Temporally Scripted, ladies and gentlemen. We need a proper animal story before we finish any episode. So tell me about this fly-tipping dog.
Yeah, so police in Catania, Sicily, say a man has trained his dog to dump rubbish bags on the roadside to dodge surveillance cameras aimed at illegal dumping.
What a genius.
Which, yeah, I mean, it is genius in many ways. Just being able to get the dog to do that. Because it's actually like a really big fine as well. So the penalties there for fly tipping can range from 1,500 to 18,000 euros, which is a lot of money.
That only applies if you are an Italian citizen. If you just come in from somewhere else, you can fly tip wherever you want, and there'll be absolutely no punishment. I personally think the punishment for fly tipping should be death.
I guess there'd be a lot less of it.
Yeah, I think you only need to do it once. It's kind of like how Singapore works, isn't it? If you drop chewing gum, it's like some crazy thing. You know, you get jailed or something, or they'll cut your hand off or whatever. And then it's like, it's not quite that bad, but it's something like some crazy fine. So nobody drops litter anymore because they know if they do, they're going to get fucked up.
Yeah, which it is an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. So you caught emptying half a skip of building materials down a dike, down a country lane. That's it.
You'll die in that ditch.
Done. You know, game over. Yeah. It's kind of how public executions work.
Yeah, which they still do in some countries, I guess. And it is just that one example.
Yeah, we're not advocating for that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway.
Interesting. So, yeah, I don't think there's much else to say about the fly tipping dog, really. It is exactly how it sounds.
And that's a mental image that we've put in all of your minds, and you're welcome. So it brings us round to everybody's favorite part of the show. My personal favorite part of the show. It's this week's top fives. What have we got this week on the temporary top fives?
Well, we've got a couple. We've got we've got top 5 Ice Age animals that sound fake, kinda, but were real. So it'd just be a good little look at some Ice Age megafauna.
I love it.
Yeah,
go.
okay. Well, predictably, as number one, we'd have the woolly mammoth, which is kind of like an elephant, but winter-proofed. And there's a couple of interesting things with these, actually. So one is when we had the pyramids being built in Egypt, that was some say about 4,500 years ago. The last woolly mammoths, died out 4,000 years ago. So there were actually mammoths alive at the time of the pyramids.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is, which I really didn't know. But the craziest thing is just like the sheer size of them. So they could be like up to 3.7 meters at the shoulder with a weight of up to 7,300 kilograms, which is like 8 tons, which is just nuts.
That was pretty much how much I weighed after Christmas.
Yeah. Now, what I always thought would be good is if we could like genetically engineer a woolly mammoth and bring them back, but make like miniature ones. How cool would it be to have like this miniature hairy elephant running around your house? It'd be really intelligent as well.
I like that. And then could we get 100 of them and then get one elephant-sized duck and have a fight and see who wins? Because I've always wondered who would win if it was, 100 elephant-sized duck. Oh no, shit, that's really scary. Anyway, moving on. Number 2.
Okay, number 2 was Smilodon, also known as a saber-toothed tiger, which, you just wouldn't want to meet one back in the Pleistocene period, really. They weren't actually that big in some ways. So the shoulder height was like 1 meter, which isn't really that huge, but they were just built like a tank. So they could weigh up to 280 kilograms.
That's about as tall as my wife, and she's pretty scary.
Right, okay. who would you be more scared of, your wife or the saber-toothed tiger?
It depends what time it is. But yeah, I like what I like about this is it's got the Latin name, I guess, which is the Smilodon fatalis. Does that literally mean if you meet one, you are fatalis?
Probably, yeah. I wonder if it's something to do with the teeth. So it would have like a bizarre kind of way of attacking, I guess, because its teeth were like really huge. I don't know if it'd be able to open fully or whether it'd use them like daggers, but either way,
crazy.
Cool. Okay. One that people forget about sometimes is what's called a Megatherium, which was a ground sloth, but a giant ground sloth. So giant, in fact, that it would weigh 4 tons and be up to 6 meters long, which is mental. So just like a sloth that hangs out in trees in the rainforest, like that, but it lives on the ground and it's just massive. And they'd have like huge claws as well that they'd use to grab branches to bring them down to eat, and also for just like getting other animals if they get too close.
But super slow.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they were quite as slow as the traditional sloths in the trees, but yeah.
Mostly asleep. I like it. My favorite one on the list is the next one.
Is that the is that the giant beaver?
It is the giant beaver. I've seen a few of those in my time.
Yeah. Which again, for a beaver, it was actually giant at up to 2.2 meters and up to 125 kilograms.
To be fair, I've never seen a beaver that big. That's pretty big.
Me either.
Imagine I have got a 75-inch TV, but even that is, yeah.
Even pushing the limits on that. And then the last one, just because it's like a kind of a fantasy thing or Lord of the Rings thing, not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, dire wolves, which were just big wolves, really, and not really huge. I mean, shoulder height was around 96 97 centimeters, not that big, length up to maybe 180, and maximum weight about 68 kilograms. So that is pretty big, but it's not as huge as they appear in some TV shows.
Mental. What always blows my mind about these things is how do they know all of this stuff?
What a way to end it.
And that is the peak, the climax. All of this talk of big beavers, I've got to go. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. As always, if you've enjoyed it, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, share. Feel free to take credit for any of our ideas, because we have some amazing ones. And until next time, Adam, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, as always. See you next time, folks.